The following is a presentation of TFNN. Time to talk about your health. Living a primal lifestyle.
You know, we have Tom from Tampa on the phone. Hey, Tom. Good morning. It's bright and early now, huh?
Hey, Paige. Good.
Hi, Tom.
How you guys doing, Nico?
Doing great.
Good. Hey, your newsletter's outstanding, man. I'm telling you, man, it is outstanding. And so is the Primal Edge. I love that stuff. I'd never be without it. I mean, I've been on it now 3-4 months, man. I mean, it's just, I can't get over how good I feel.
Primal Edge is, people are raving about it. People who are trying it, they know because you can feel it.
Would not be without it.
Call now, toll free at 1-877-927-6648. Internationally at 727-445-1044. Now your hosts, Nico Haan and Paige Clarke.
Good morning. I'm Nico Haan. Welcome to Living a Primal Lifestyle, where we explore a return to a more balanced, natural, wild world.
That's right, Nico, to recover our natural health and regain our rights and our freedoms. I am Paige Clarke.
Yeah, it's a beautiful day in downtown Clearwater, about 64 degrees and cloudy, going up into almost 80 degrees today, but it's a little crisp, which is nice for
We got
us.
to pull out our sweaters yesterday, had a little colder weather.
Yeah, it was funny. You know, I went to work like at 6 o'clock in the morning, and it was kind of warm. And then I said, oh, I'll go back home for some coffee around 8 o'clock.
And kind of
It was freezing.
Yeah, kind of rolled out. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, if you have any questions, don't hesitate to contact us.
That's right.
You can reach me by email at paige@tfnn.com.
Or Nico@tfnn.com. Of course, we're taking your phone calls at 877-927-6648. I'd like to remind everybody, brand new Health Signals newsletter here.
Good stuff.
Yeah, starts off with the 5 amazing properties of sunlight. And we've been discussing here quite at length what sunlight can do for us and how we're really trying to shy away from this thing that's giving us life.
It's just we live in an upside-down world,
In a sense,
as
we
we
do.
expose so much on this show, and that's why you want to make sure you're getting the truth by staying up to date and being part of our Health Signals newsletter
Yeah,
community.
you know, it's only $10 a month. That gives you $5 for each issue, and it's issued on the first and third Tuesday of every month. Also, please pick up our Primal Edge, the only real other product that we have. It's over 310 cell-ready ingredients, liquid ingredients, so it's easy to take, all powered by fulvic and humic acid.
That's right. It's a multi-nutrient that uses nature's miracle molecules to get the good stuff in.
And the bad stuff out, and that's the way we like it.
And if you're up and at it, give us a call.
Yeah. Now, have you been watching the show about Jane Goodall with the chimps?
No, I have not watched it, but I know you were telling me that it's been good.
Well, it's a great show. It's a nice movie, and it shows her life and how she got there kind of accidentally, and how she had a passion for wildlife, and especially chimps, and how years later, when she was there, she met a photographer who was sent by the National Geographic Society, and spent a lot of time together. A real quiet kind of guy. Of course, she's a researcher. She's naturally quiet, too. Slowly but surely, they created a heck of a bond, and years later, they married. Very nice love story, but the research she's done is quite remarkable, and also it makes me think of the gorilla gal, Diane Fossey, who was killed years ago, and also doing research on the gorillas, who really, they weren't discovered until around the turn of the last century, the 1900s. We didn't really know these existed. But it's an interesting story because there's really a lot of differences between the chimps and the gorillas.
And us.
And us, too, of course, yeah. The divergent line that we think in biology happened many, many millions of years ago.
If it even happened that way.
If it happened that way. And
Right.
this is the lineage that we think brought human beings to here, and perhaps it did.
With maybe some help from other people.
Yeah, but the thing about the chimps, and this article is titled "Chimps Eat Baby Monkey Brains First," which may give us a clue to human evolution. And here they have a picture of the chimps. And this is interesting because when they are attacking other monkeys for their meat, if it's a juvenile, the adult chimp will eat the head first. And they always thought this was kind of peculiar. Now, if they catch a mature monkey, it doesn't matter. They kind of eat whatever is handy, you know. But if it's an immature and a baby or an infant, then they're going to eat the head first. So there must be something that draws them to the brain.
Yeah, this is kind of a gruesome subject based on what's in the real news today. I mean, what's really going on. But I hear what you're saying. We can take a clue from nature, probably the nutrient density, you know, for perceived nutrient density and that kind of a thing.
Yeah, he was kind of, he said this was kind of a little studied question that's relevant to how humans evolved. He says, why would apes prefer to eat a particular part of the body first? And we've always said that the American Indians, when they were after game here, they were really after that hump of the buffalo, or the brain, or the liver, or some of the organs.
The areas where it was, there was perceived more nutrient density, which is organs and glands, as opposed to the,
And I think it's kind of the same thing, because here I'm thinking, okay, monkeys aren't talking to each other. Human beings really don't know a lot about anatomy of other animals. You know, of course, they're butchering things, so maybe they do know. But how did they know which was the best part to eat? Well, it had to be instinctive.
The 100th monkey.
Yeah, maybe so. Maybe so.
Maybe that's how it started. That's interesting.
Yeah, we tend to just say meat is meat, but we know that the nutrition composition varies. He says the whole carcass is valuable, but the brain is especially valuable. And this, of course, the brain is high in fat and a source of the long-chain fatty acids, which really helps in our own brain's development. And this is kind of the thinking on this, why they would do this. And I think there's probably cultures of humans that may have, you know, been cannibalizing not just chimps, but maybe maybe humans too.
And it's still going on today.
Yeah, in a lot of different ways, that's for sure. So he says this similar behavior at her study in Senegal, where these studying hunting as part of a chimpanzee project, they say observed eating bush babies' heads first, always. And this is a ritual that they have. There's also a debate whether the apes hunt at all, considering meat isn't a dietary staple. But it is pretty much for the chimps a dietary staple. They eat, they're kind of like us.
The difference between the apes' diet and the chimps. Right. The apes are fruitarians almost.
Yeah, yeah. You're talking about the great apes. You're talking about the gorillas.
Yes.
Yeah, they're definitely, and they have these big stomachs. You can see that, whereas the chimp is relatively slim like us.
It has a similar digestive system.
Yeah.
Well, we always need to look towards nature to get some clues as to, you know, what's been going on for maybe eons.
Yeah, he says, for example, some chimps eat eggs while others don't. Some prey on baboons. Some chimps just take the heads away and just discard everything else. So there's a lot of weird things going on here, for sure. Whatever the reason, studying the diet of chimpanzees, he says, with whom we likely share a common ancestor, could shed light on some evolution.
Right. You know, that when we talk about that, I mean, there's some of us that believe perhaps it wasn't nature that caused the evolution, but genetic manipulation by perhaps, you know, other races that got involved with the creation.
Yeah, but we really have no scientific proof of that. You know, there's.
Or that.
Well, here we have a study on it.
Oh, I don't know, but could be. We don't know what really happened because we weren't there.
That's true. We are here now, though, and
That's right.
We're going to be right back, folks. So please stick around and pick up some of that Primal Edge while you're at it, please. You know what's cool? Taking something that's good for you. Something specifically formulated to help with weight loss, better sleep, stress reduction, and the need to detox.
Nico, our hunter and gatherer ancestors found all their nutritional requirements for health in their wild environment. But today, our food sources no longer contain the vitamins, minerals, and nutrients our bodies need to stay healthy and strong.
That's why we need Primal Edge Daily Nutrition. It includes a special blend of ionic, oil-based vitamins, minerals, fatty, and amino acids in an easy-to-use liquid form.
Primal Edge is powered by highly concentrated fulvic and humic acids, nature's preferred delivery system. They have been called miracle molecules because, like sunlight, air, and water, life cannot exist without them.
That's right, Paige. They ensure we receive all the nutrition we need to be healthy and thrive. We take it every morning.
Primal Edge, formulated and approved by Nico and Paige of Living a Primal Lifestyle. Buy it today for just $89. Click on the Primal Edge banner on the front page of TFNN.com. platinum, grains, crude oil, gold, copper, cattle, hogs, gasoline, natural gas, coffee, cotton, cocoa, and sugar. These are just some of the commodities mentioned in the most recent issue of Andy Hecht's Techno-Mental Commodity Report. Andy publishes his weekly newsletter every Thursday morning, where he breaks down the commodity market and provides his subscribers with specific trading recommendations based on his trading methodology. By signing up for a free trial to the Techno-Mental Commodity Report, you'll get a full 30 days to try out this powerful newsletter service and see for yourself the types of trades Andy has recommended for his subscribers. When you sign up for a 30-day free trial, you're under no obligation to pay anything. And should you decide to continue, you will lock in the low rate of only $79 a month. Sign up right now for the Techno-Mental Commodity Report and make sure you're ready to catch the next big trade in commodities. For more information and to get started today, visit the front page of TFNN.com.
Will the S&P 500 continue to climb? For bold trades on U.S. large-cap stocks in either direction, trade SPXL, SPUU, or SPXS. Directions Daily S&P 500 Bull and Bear Leveraged ETFs. Direction Leveraged ETFs. An investor should carefully consider a fund's investment objective, risks, charges, and expenses before investing. A fund's prospectus and summary prospectus contain this and other information about Direction shares. To obtain a fund's prospectus and summary prospectus, call 866-476-7523 or visit directioninvestments.com. A fund's prospectus and summary prospectus should be read carefully before investing. An investment in the funds is subject to risk, including the possible loss of principal. The funds are designed to be utilized only by sophisticated investors such as traders and active investors. Distributor Foreside Fund Services, LLC.
Nico and Paige take your phone calls now. Toll free at 1-877-927-6648. Internationally at 727-445-1044.
Interesting story with you that was published in National Geographic, and you know it's been used to define and separate people from millennia. Mm-hmm. And what is it? It's the concept of race. And guess what? This author says it is not grounded in genetics or science. There's no scientific basis for race. It's a made-up label.
Yeah, I was in the 10th grade in Canada, and we were studying Morton and his ideology of collecting skulls and deciding that human beings were set into 5 separate different groups. And of course, the white man, the Caucasian, was at the top of the group, and the next was the Mongoloid, which were called the Asians at that time with the Chinese and whatever else we called them. And then there was the American Indians, and last, of course, were the blacks from Ethiopia. And this is the way that he determined how the human beings were set in kind of evolution. He was kind of saying that, you know, we all evolved a little bit differently, and the white man is the one that rose to the top, and you know, all really a bunch of nonsense.
His opinion. The 4 letters of the genetic code, if you guys can look at this picture, the ACGT, the 4 letters are projected onto this Ugandan's face up in the image that we have there, but the DNA reveals what skin colors obscure, that we all have African ancestors.
Yeah.
Yeah, despite what you want to think, that's where it all began.
Yeah. Morton believed that people could be divided into 5 races and that these represented separate acts of creation. The races had distinct characters which corresponded to their place in the divinely determined hierarchy.
Isn't that interesting that he had a hierarchy?
Yeah, well, we're in you know, once we started locking up the food, the hierarchy had to be there because we have somebody in control of things. And this is another way of controlling people. And this is a way of keeping a certain race down. You know, it's not just about race. I remember moving to Canada and us being shunned because people thought we were displaced people. We were forced out of a country where we actually took our own money and left for a better place. Mm-hmm. And when I moved to the United States, I saw the diversity of how many black people were here. I had never seen that, and it was kind of a culture shock, and I thought it was kind of cool. And then I saw the overtones of my neighbors and everything making bad remarks about different races or different religions and that type of thing. And I know a lot of people, deeply religious people, who are really also on that bandwagon of separating groups, whether you're Catholic or Jewish or white or black or Irish or whatever it is. We always divide people. And I think this was a kind of instinct myself for survival in the beginning when we go into different territories. And we want to be sure that everything is protected here. And this is the way I kind of thought about the whole thing. But I was glad in Canada we talked about this at an early age, because when I moved to the United States, I could have in my mind already that there is no difference between people. There's difference.
But there was obviously, he is considered the father of scientific racism. And let's go back, as you said, he basically created the theory, or a determined hierarchy, that the Caucasians were the most intelligent of the races, followed by the East Asians, then the Native Americans, and finally the blacks were at the bottom. And, you know, this really created the ideas that were taken up by the defenders of slavery. And really, I think this is so unfortunate that this was perpetuated.
Well,
and I think that race is much more a display of different species, much like a flower garden. And that we all produced our different skin colors and shapes and musculature and frame based on our circadian exposure, our latitudinal, longitudinal positioning on the planet to allow us to bloom in the sun, so to speak, in a healthy way.
Yeah, of course, in those days, back in the 60s when I was studying this, there was no DNA. And now, of course, the DNA is showing us that there is actually no difference at all in any part of the DNA to the different, what we call races. So there is a human race only. And the other interesting thing I found about this is, of course, the lighter skin is at the top, and you go down and go to the Asian a little bit darker, then you go to the next level down a little bit darker, where you end up with the black. So the white is the good, the black is bad.
Well, it's
night
racism
and day.
in the purest sense, right?
Yeah,
It's completely.
But it's also cultural in the sense. Night is the white, day is light, and the dark is, you know. So, and we're always afraid of the dark.
His creation, you know, this race, these 5 different races, which he claimed were from separate acts of creation.
Right.
And, you know, he had a lot of influence, particularly in the South.
Oh, yeah.
No surprises here. An anthropologist at the University of Pennsylvania who showed, you know, we're looking at the skull collection. Maybe you can scroll up on the telestrator and show people the skull creation. You know, this is a collection from his skulls. You know, one from left to right is a black woman and a white man, and an indigenous man from Mexico, a Chinese woman, and a Malaysian man. And so these were the skulls that kind of, the studies that he made that enabled him to kind of come up with his unusual premise. And so when you're looking over a particularly large-headed Dutchman who helped inflate Morton's estimate of Caucasian capacities.
No doubt about that, yeah.
When Morton died in 1851, the Charleston Medical Journal of South Carolina praised him for giving to the Negro his true position as an inferior race. Isn't that disgusting?
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, again, you know, making assumptions that these were, you know, that these skull differences had something to do with a race's inferiority or not.
Over the past few decades, genetic research has revealed 2 deep truths about people. First, that all human beings are closely related, more closely related than all chimps. And even though there are many more humans around today, everybody has the same collection of genes, but with the exception of the identical twins, which have different variations of some of them. Studies of this genetic diversity have allowed scientists to reconstruct the kind of family tree of the human populations that has revealed a second deep truth. In the very real sense, all people today are Africans.
That's exactly right. And we are the original human that was probably created through a genetic pool. and we have changed and adapted so that we can survive our latitudinal, longitudinal exposure. We need to synthesize more vitamin D. Our skin lightened up so that we wouldn't have that melanin to keep it out.
And of course the genetic modification, that's a theory just as the evolution is a theory.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But I don't think we should continue to present that the evolution as though it were a proven science, because I think we're told it is, but...
Well, there's certain aspects of it. There's a lot of gaps in there. There's no doubt about it.
Well, aren't they really the same thing, though? Really, if there was some assistance in creating the genes that we now see as the human gene, you know, I'm sure evolution had a part of it, because we evolved to...
Do we call those people God?
Well, they could be the gods. They could be the angels, the angels of light that came from different places, right?
We can make up anything we want.
Yeah, exactly. And who's to say who's right?
Exactly. We'll be right back, folks.
We'd like to tell you about the personal training studio that Nico is the owner and president of, Performance Training. Since 1998, Nico has trained individuals and groups to improve their health both mentally and physically. As a certified personal trainer, Nico's main focus is on demonstrating exercises correctly to avoid injury and teaching his clients how to manage their past injuries while getting the most out of their personal training sessions. The Performance Training Studio is filled with unique training equipment that enhances balanced results at a faster rate while minimizing damage and discomfort. For more information, you can give Nico a call at 727-418-8740 or email him at nico@tfnn.com. Let him know you heard him on TFNN and save up to $100 on a special package just for TFNN listeners. Act today.
Tiger TV is an exciting way to experience TFNN programming. See high-definition video, giving you crystal clear charts, as well as seeing some of the faces of TFNN's highly acclaimed financial experts with crisp, full-fidelity sound. Catch Tom O'Brien, John Logan, Steve Rhodes, Basil Chapman, Larry Pesavento, Think or Swim, David White, Andy Hecht, and Daryl Martin in crystal clear, high-definition audio and video. Tiger TV, exclusively at TFNN.com.
Has the current market volatility continued to stop you out of trades when the market spikes against you? Now is the perfect time to open up an account with Nadex. Nadex, the North American Derivatives Exchange, is a brand new, completely regulated Chicago-based exchange, and unlike most other exchanges, Nadex allows you to trade directly through them with direct market access when using their completely free trading platform, which also features real-time charts and full customization capability. One of the advantages of trading with Nadex in volatile markets is that your risk is always capped and you have the ability of keeping your trades open even when the market spikes against you. Nadex is completely brand new with a line of unique trading products that are unavailable anywhere else. See how it works at nadex.com. That's NADEX.com. Or click on the Nadex banner on the front page of TFNN.com. Futures and options trading involves risk and may not be appropriate for all investors.
Many of our new listeners have heard about The Tiger's Den. The Tiger's Den is a lively community where professional traders and investors can meet, exchange ideas and information in a comfortable, moderated atmosphere. Hear all of the TFNN shows, plus see all of the charts as they happen live and have access to archives of all of those charts. You can test drive The Tiger's Den absolutely free for 30 days and greatly enrich your knowledge of these markets and how to make your money work for you. Details on The Tiger's Den are on the front page of TFNN.com. This segment is brought to you by Think or Swim. For more information, just click the Think or Swim banner on the front page of TFNN.com.
And welcome back to the show. You know, we all know that too much stress isn't great for our health, for our well-being. And most of us deal with stress at different times of our life. And most of us, well, probably all of us, are dealing with stress at least some of the time. And while a bit of stress in our life is totally normal and maybe even have some benefits on a small scale, it's the you know, and that kind of is like getting your motivation going and maybe your imagination going too. But it's clear to manage stress and chronic stress is kind of a skill.
It sure is.
A life skill.
And I truly notice from the people that I work with that some of us are more adept at handling stress, while others of us struggle. You know, maybe even the smallest things can create that perceived stress. And that's really what it's all about. Big or small, it's how you perceive it all. Right?
Yeah.
So according to a recent study, Nico, it was published in Psychological Sciences, APS, that those of us who tend to linger over stress and grievances, whose emotional response to stress carries over into the next day, week, month, year, we are much more likely to report health problems even as much as a decade later, as opposed to those of us who are easier yet letting it go.
Whatever.
Let it go.
Yeah, well, most people think of types of stressors that impact health.
They think of big things.
Yeah, they think of the big things, the major life things. Somebody's dying, maybe you're getting divorced,
or something
like that.
It can be the little things, too.
Yeah, accumulating findings suggest that it's not just the big events, but minor, everyday stressors that impact your health as well. Kind of like the little insults that we put into our body with the food. The little stressors, little carbohydrates that irritate our body. And yeah, it doesn't make us feel that great, but we keep eating them because it's a habit and it's easy, it's cheap. And of course, the companies are pushing this. But it's the accumulation effect of that, and this is the same thing with added stress of our daily...
Stressors can be physical, they can be emotional, they can be spiritual, they can be chemical, they can be so many things. And like you said, there are many people who stay in a chronic state of inflammation from a food or from a thought that they haven't been able to release yet.
Or even from the toxic of our environment. You're cleaning with some bleach, and it's annoying your system.
Exactly.
Maybe you're doing your weeding, and you're using that chemical instead of the vinegar and water. So many things stress us, but in our modern society, I think it's like 100-fold, because now we have stress of listening to the news. We have stress of being confined indoors. We have stress of the bad light in the studio or at night at home. Maybe you're under the LED lights. We're always trying to get someplace. We're eating on the run. I mean, in our modern society, Paige, it's an endless thing.
And this report that was in this APS said that previous studies had suggested that people who have effective same-day strategies for dealing with stress, almost a stress release valve daily, they can release stressors and negative emotions much more easily, and they have better long-term health outcomes. But the long-term effects of lingering negative emotional responses remain unclear. And so some of these scientists have found that if prolonged emotional fallout from stress can really impact your long-term health. And they analyzed the data from the Midlife in the United States survey, which is a national representative study for adults, and they were asked to compare an 8-day survey and report their negative emotions, kind of like fear, or irritability,
anxiety,
anger and loneliness, and while also reporting the stressors they experienced over the previous 24 hours.
Yeah, and the second part of this study, 10 years later, those same participants were asked to complete an additional survey that assessed chronic pain, health conditions, and any functional problems or limitations that they were experiencing.
And they were shown they were less adept at quickly releasing negative emotions around stressful events, and they were shown to have a marked increase in health problems.
Yeah, and I like what you said, the releasing and the pressure. I'm thinking of a boiling pot.
Yes.
And the pressure's not being released. And when you tip that just a little bit on my pressure cooker, you can hear that air coming out and the relief being there. So having a plan of action for your natural stressors is something in a modern society that we really need. And we have a guest coming on the show. Is it Thursday?
The 24th, whatever day that is right now. It's Tuesday or Thursday, yeah. Anyways, next week, yes, we're going to talk all about that.
Yeah, and he's got a great book, and I'm in the middle of it right now. And what he shows you in that book is ways of de-stressing, of fitting this into your life so it becomes kind of a habit. And, you know, we, of course, do this through many, many different ways, and we're going to talk about that. I think it's really good. Researchers found that the associations were conclusive regardless of the participants' gender, level of education, or overall health baseline. The link between health problems and stress was found to be ongoing, even after researchers took account of the average number of stressors people experienced. So this is something that just really builds up. You may not be noticing it, except that you get sick more often than other people do.
So, you know, really encountering stress in life is normal. We're going to have stressors, whether it be the strawberry that you eat today that might have been on your cereal when you heard your parents fighting when you were 4. So for whatever reason, they upset your stomach today, but there's really nothing inherently stressful about a strawberry, or an emotional comment that was made to you that you keep playing like a tape recorder. Whether it's true or not, you still play it, and your subconscious believes it to be true. These are things we must address. So before you get stressed out about being stressed out, know that there is a lot you can do to help yourself out. And I'm sure that we're going to be discussing a lot of that next week.
Yeah, that's going to be interesting with him because isn't he a friend of Bruce?
He sure is.
Yeah. And they have like minds, little constructs of how to deal with things. And it's really important because in my life, of course, I had all my little stories about my dad that kind of keep me centered, and I always go back to the little sayings that he had. And I think these are important because every famous person has a quote, and these quotes we value. And why do we value these quotes? Not just because they're brilliant, because there's something that we can use. And I think that's an important thing.
Yeah, so we're going to have Mark Hardcastle on, and Mark was actually, he's a pilot and a friend of Bruce's, but he's also an author. And this book that you're sharing, you know, how the Symphony of Your Life blog is his blog, but we're going to get his book.
Yeah, and his wife wrote a nice foreword to it, an introduction to it, how what he was doing and laying out in his life helped her through her experience, not only in her life, but in her business, which was kind of cool too. So yeah, it's a very interesting story, and I like how people come up with these things and then they impact our lives, kind of like a spiritual song of some kind that moves us. You know, watching these shows with the contests of singing, it's not so much about the contest, but it's the content. It's what these people are doing. Emotional connections. So important that we have that so we can relate to each other on many different levels.
Yeah, so make sure and join us next week when we have Mark Hardcastle on, author of The Symphony of Your Life, Restoring Harmony When Your World is Out of Tune. And he sent both Nico and I his book, autographed, and we're real excited to share that with you and really help people to get some effective strategies to cope with stress.
Yeah, and it's done in a certain way. The symphony of your life is musical, and really my life has been musical just because of those types of things that are in there.
So it's really about, we're going to all have stress, it's about framing the concept of stress and how to transform your perception of it. It can really make a difference.
That's right.
We want you to stick with us.
Yeah, because we're going to teach you some things about getting rid of it. We'll be right back. You know what's cool? Taking something that's good for you. Something specifically formulated to help with weight loss, better sleep, stress reduction, and the need to detox.
Nico, our hunter and gatherer ancestors found all their nutritional requirements for health in their wild environment. But today, our food sources no longer contain the vitamins, minerals, and nutrients our bodies need to stay healthy and strong.
That's why we need Primal Edge Daily Nutrition. It includes a special blend of ionic, oil-based vitamins, minerals, fatty, and amino acids in an easy-to-use liquid form.
Primal Edge is powered by highly concentrated fulvic and humic acids, nature's preferred delivery system. They have been called miracle molecules because, like sunlight, air, and water, life cannot exist without them.
That's right, Paige. They ensure we receive all the nutrition we need to be healthy and thrive. We take it every morning.
Primal Edge, formulated and approved by Nico and Paige of Living a Primal Lifestyle. Buy it today for just $89. Click on the Primal Edge banner on the front page of TFNN.com.
No matter what kind of trader you are, 2018 is a great time to try out a subscription to Tom O'Brien's Gold Report. Whether you just plan on diversifying your portfolio with some exposure to gold and gold mining equities, or you're a gold bull that sees 2018 as the year of commodities, now is a great time to sign up for the Gold Report. Tom O'Brien publishes his Gold Report every Monday morning before the market opens and covers a variety of topics including gold, silver, platinum, copper, the XAU and HUI, the dollar, bonds, South African rand, as well as more than 20 of the most actively traded mining equities. Start your 2018 off with a bang and sign up for the Gold Report today. The Gold Report is a long-term newsletter where the focus is on building real wealth through the management of a successful portfolio of gold stocks. For all the details and to start your subscription right now, visit the front page of TFNN.com and you'll find the Gold Report under Investment Newsletters. David White's newsletter, The Technology Insider, is focused like a laser on finding the next big things in technology. If you had invested only $10,000 in Microsoft in 1986, you'd have been a millionaire by 2000. Disruptive technology like Microsoft's is the key to these massive long-term profits, and the Tech Insider is the vehicle from TFNN to capitalize on these opportunities. This is the go-to newsletter that identifies, monitors, and profits on mostly little-known cutting-edge companies with great long-term prospects. David's experience is as an inventor of Emmy-winning animation products for TV and Hollywood that propelled a company public. Match that with 14 years as a full-time trader, and he's uniquely qualified to guide you through the light-speed world of ever-evolving high-tech. If you're ready to ride the next big technology bull market for less than $40 per month, log on to TFNN.com and get your 2-week free trial to the Technology Insider. Get in on the ground floor of the next big thing today.
Don't forget, you can listen to TFNN live on your mobile device 24 hours per day. Go to TFNN.com, then hit Watch Tiger TV. That's TFNN.com, then hit Watch Tiger TV for the latest market information.
So Nico and I have been talking about stress, and it's out there. So from natural disasters to over-demanding bosses and family stressors. You know, we've all got stressors. And some research has shown that short bursts of stress can actually be invigorating and maybe help us get focused and motivated. There's some research, again, published in the Proceedings of the National Academy of Science that found that dealing with persistent, long-term, chronic stress, like that from a toxic boss or from a family issue or from caring for an elderly person, can actually change your genes, leading to an increase in overall body inflammation. And that can bring on a variety of health issues. So let's learn more about what we can do, Nico, to help remediate stress.
Well, one of the first things that is on the list for de-stressing is just going outside and getting some fresh air. And I like this, being on top of the list, because we really talk about being outside, getting the sunlight, getting the natural light in that morning and in the evening, and maybe staying away from the sun a little bit in midday, or at least covering up. But going for a walk out in nature is probably the #1 thing that will de-stress you. I don't think anything else can top that.
I like the way Dr. Berg, he's a doctor that I follow. He has great YouTube posts every morning. You'll get a little 5 minutes, something or another. And Dr. Berg talks about just the science of the fact that when you are under stress, you feel caved in on. So when you go outside, the magnitude of the openness takes away that feeling of compression.
That's a nice picture you're painting there. I like that a lot.
#2, rely on rituals. Whether it's taking a bath, listening to your favorite playlist on the commute to work, or just giving your doggy a walk. These are things that can give you hope and help you just release some of that stress.
Yeah, relying on rituals. Of course, when I think of rituals, I also think of religion, and this is probably the beginnings of it. Stories that we pass on to kind of soothe the mind and make everybody feel that everything's okay, and giving us a little bit of education. It may not be the truth. It may be a sniglet of something that we've heard or thought about, and we say, okay, here's a little history of our tribe. Here's a little anecdote for you. Here's a little saying that my father used to say.
Exactly.
To kind of de-stress the moment.
You know, following a routine allows you to take control over what may be what you perceive to be an out-of-control life. So rituals can actually create some peace.
Yes, when stressful situations leave you feeling powerless, following a routine allows you to take back control of every part of your day and can help you alleviate those problems of anxiety and tension. Also, it takes control physically, mentally, spiritually. It's the whole ball of wax rolled into one thing.
That's right. And here's another one, guys. Get out of your head. Did you ever get that negative loop, that never-ending negative loop of thinking that you continue to play? It's, as I mentioned, I learned from Bruce Lipton, you know, you may be repeating a phrase of something you heard or thought, and you're playing it like a cassette player.
Or your mother said it, or your father said it, or something.
And you just keep hearing it, even though it's no longer true or was never true.
And you know it's not true, and superficially, and you can't stop it. The brain is just keep on that wagon. You kind of have to shake it up. And this is why I like Tony Robbins' stuff, because he has those little sniglets in there to whack you right out of it. Maybe to scare you a little bit or whatever.
And when you really learn about Tony's family life as a child, wow, he really, you know, has a story. So, you know, so immerse yourself in a creative, engaging activity. It might be painting, it might be, I mean, it can even be dishwashing. I'll tell you, sometimes when I feel overwhelmed, I get a few dishes, I get that water, I'm playing in the water, I become sort of meditative of what I'm doing. It can be the simplest task,
and
but
those
doing
things,
something.
I think music plays a part in that, maybe playing a little guitar, a little piano, knitting, playing solitary, poker. You know, there's all kinds of little de-stressors that we use, we've come up with, that some people think are silly. When I first saw somebody playing poker with themselves, I thought, you know, this is the silliest thing. But no, it's a de-stressor. It's something to calm the mind, to get back to central and reset yourself.
And here's a good one, connect with your spiritual side. Isn't that what we're really here to do anyways, folks?
Well, I think this is kind of like the other one, getting out of your head.
Centuries, religious groups and native tribes have used prayer beads to guide their spiritual practice, and research shows that spiritual work might boost your happiness when you're feeling stressful.
So when
it
you
allows
see
you
those
to
people
believe.
playing with the beads, and
Yeah,
things
that's
like
a form
that.
of meditation.
Yeah, exactly.
If you really think about it,
So meditation is kind of a sense, a de-stressor, and it's an automatic kind of thing. We do it to get rid of the stress, not just because we want to be so cool.
Right. Another one is visualize calm.
Right.
You know, that really creates the perfect environment to go within and find a quiet space, close your eyes, and focus on your breathing, and transports yourself to a happy place.
Yeah, and the other one here is take a bath, and this has kind of reminded me of you washing the dishes, the water going, so that's a little ritual that you do, taking a bath. Especially women do this more than men do. Men will probably jump in the shower or take a cold plunge, more likely, but it's the same type of thing. Of course, using essential oils like what you often teach us.
Exactly, because remember, aromatherapy and the power of olfaction or smelling a scent can often remind you of less stressful times, and this has been proven to be the case. Here's another great one, is express your gratitude. I have a little reminder that I have posted that's got grace, God, and gratitude. Or God, grace, and gratitude, actually. And I think remembering those 3 G's is a really important thing, and gratitude is a wonderful attitude
and this
to
is
have.
a basis for prayer. Prayer is really saying thank you for what's been given me, being very happy with the opportunities that you have. It's definitely a de-stressor. People have used this for different ways, but the original form, I really do believe, of prayer is a de-stressor. After all, God is always listening. We don't have to say, now I'm praying. Every thought, everything is there.
Yes. I like to say prayer is acknowledging and asking, where meditation is listening. And listening
I say
for
prayer
that
is not
small
asking,
stillness.
is thanking.
Well, yeah,
So
well,
it's
that's what I
supposed
say,
to say, yeah,
acknowledging.
acknowledging,
Yes, true.
And here's one dear to my heart, is exercise. Exercise may be the healthiest stress buster. It revs up your body production of feeling
feel-good
good.
endorphins.
That's right. It can help regulate your sleep. It lower your symptoms of other things like depression. It boosts your energy. And, of course, it makes you a lot calmer. Once you've done that, you feel really good. And after I roll for an hour with my buddies, man, nothing can bother me because I feel fantastic.
You've really allowed that to help you get
Definitely.
your stress under control. What are some of the worst things you can do for stress? Well, some of the worst things you can do are what most people end up doing: drinking, smoking, and other vices.
Yeah, that's for sure.
When we use these terrible tools, we oftentimes create more stress than we thought. Drowning your stress in a bottle of wine or a pack of cigarettes might bring a release in the moment, because in fact many of these substances, nicotine is actually a dopamine stimulator, but it's a false dopamine stimulator.
Yeah.
And
well, the way we smoke it these days is a lot different than the peace pipe that we used to have through rituals.
Mm-hmm.
So,
well, the difference is the stuff that people smoke when they smoke cigarettes.
Yeah. But it's also the ritual of a peace pipe is a bringing together of people to have a frame of mind that's similar.
Mm-hmm.
So it sets us, now we're smoking or drinking tea, and now all of a sudden we're equals.
And supportive in your emotional thing.
Yeah, exactly.
But now we're drinking alone or smoking alone, and it's sad.
Not the same thing.
Yeah.
Okay, folks, so we'll be right back and continue with some of the things that you shouldn't be doing that may add to your stress. So
That's right. Stick with us.
We'll be right back.
I'm certain you are or strive to be one of the best at everything you do in life. It's the most common trait that we tigers and tigresses share. If you're looking to become the best of the best when it comes to managing your money, let me teach you to do what most wealth managers tell you can't be done, which is how to time the markets. I'm Steve Rhodes, author of Mastering Probability, and for the last 12 months, Timer Digest has been tracking my newsletter signals, which have earned me the ranking as their #1 market timer in the nation for the S&P 500 for the last 12, 6, and 3 months. Timer Digest also ranks me as the #1 market timer for gold as well. The fact is, markets can be timed, and I'll teach you the exact set of tools that I use that has transformed me into one of the best at what I do. Sign up for Mastering Probability today by clicking on the newsletter tab on the homepage of TFNN.com and get immediate access to workshops where I take you step by step how to use an extraordinary set of tools, as well as provide great market calls too. Sign up today.
Hi folks, Tom O'Brien here. If you'd like to get my daily newsletter, Market Insights, then now is a great time to sign up for a 30-day free trial. Every morning by 9:30, I send out my morning letter to subscribers with market commentary on a variety of markets, currencies, and commodities to keep investors up to date on the day's trading action. Included in Market Insights are specific buy and sell recommendations for stocks, ETFs, and even options, with stops and price targets included for every trade in my newsletter. If you'd like to try my newsletter risk-free for 30 days, then head over to the front page of TFNN and you'll find Market Insights under Trading Newsletters. I use my years of trading experience to bisect and dissect the market every morning and give my subscribers the most important information they need to know for the day ahead. I even issue afternoon updates for my subscribers whenever warranted with important market action. I'm always scouring the market for the next great trading opportunity. Sign up for your 30-day free trial to my daily newsletter, Market Insights, today by visiting the front page of TFNN.com. Wow! Go get 'em, folks.
No matter where you're listening to TFNN programming, you can always access your favorite shows on demand through TFNN.com. TFNN airs live programming every market day from 8 a.m. till 6 p.m. Eastern, and you can view each program by accessing Tiger TV through our homepage. We even have an easy link for all mobile devices, including iPhones, iPads, and Android devices, located in the top right-hand corner of the TFNN homepage. You can use your smartphone to view Tiger TV, but if you don't have a connection that can keep up with streaming live video, then you can simply visit TFNN.mobi in the browser of your smartphone for live streaming audio of all our programs. The mission of TFNN is to educate our audience directly and interactively through our interactive website and call-in talk shows. TFNN is able to teach all levels of investors the technical skills needed to trade in today's marketplace. In order to get the best information possible, TFNN has assembled the most respected financial minds in the country to provide the most current news and comprehensive advice available. TFNN.com, educating investors.
And welcome back to the show.
What are some of the worst things we can do for stress?
Well, we covered drinking, smoking, and other drugs and things like that. And
how about hibernate? You know, that's a double-edged sword, I think, because I know
sometimes
that
you need it.
Sleep is crucial for recovering
Right.
your adrenals.
But I don't
However, many
think-
people get into a depressed state and they just curl up in a ball and they sleep too much and not good quality sleep and not really doing things to help remediate the stress.
Yeah, and I also see hibernation as a form of just staying home and watching TV and stuff like that, not being real constructive and not trying to get rid of the stress, just kind of bear with it here.
Another thing is ignoring the issue and
this
trying
is kind of the same thing,
yeah, you evade your problems, you don't allow yourself to process, understand it, or try to find ways to remediate it.
Yeah, when you evade your problems, you don't allow yourself to process or even understand what you're dealing with. The more you ignore something, it becomes a concrete problem, so it sets in even more.
You know, best bet is to reach out for help and make a plan of action that eventually will help you diminish your problem and alleviate your stress.
And that doesn't mean going down to the bar for a drink and meeting your buddies,
Right.
Maybe
Right.
it does in some sense. I remember that movie Crocodile Dundee, and he went to New York to see his girlfriend, and the guy there was
That might be a short-term solution.
well, he said, I'm going to see my therapist. Well, how often do you see my therapist? I go out every day for 2 hours. He says, don't you have a mate?
Yeah,
Don't you go to the bar and have a drink?
right.
You know, so these are definitely ways we de-stress. If you take it too far, of course, it's no good.
Right, it's about balance.
Yeah.
And, you know, that can be one of the things, dwelling on the negative. If you make a mistake at work, do you assume you're going to get fired? I mean, a lot of people will awfulize things. You know,
Right.
they'll take it to the next level, even though that's not really what
Yeah,
happened.
they take one little part of it and then just balloon it up and make
You know,
it into a
you
huge
have a fight
thing.
and you think, oh my gosh, she's going to want a divorce.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
You know, maybe this is kind of awfulism and advancing something. So, you know, really, you know, keep that inner chatter down. Bruce would be proud of that word. And look at things from a different perspective. Perhaps be an observer, where you can observe things and say, is that really true or not?
Yeah, you
what would an
distance-
observer, an uninterested party looking in from the inside out, what would they say?
Yeah, you could do a little research. You can just step away a little bit. I know under heated arguments and things like that, when there's a lot of stress in the air, sometimes it's best to say, you know, we're at an impasse. Let's just stop here. Take a couple of breaths, come back, give each other a hug, that type. That's what Ellen and I do. We tend to, when we reach that point where we're not, there's no more communication, we're just babbling at each other. All of a sudden there's a realization, and then we just kind of stop, distance ourselves a little bit, come back a couple of minutes later, hug, and then everything just kind of drops away, and we realize that, you know.
It was kind of ridiculous,
Yeah, it was a ridiculous thing.
And then finally, you know, many people eat their feelings. They stuff themselves, literally and figuratively. And food often becomes a crutch for coping with difficult times. And, you know, just like alcohol abuse and doing that, many people will use food. Or sadly, people will use the control of food and the purging of food. It can really be used two ways.
That's a wicked
So at the first
way.
sign of stress, anger, or sadness, many people will reach for a food product instead of dealing with the feelings. And this can create a lot of digestive
we
stress.
automatically go for the Excedrin or the aspirin or ibuprofen when we have a headache or we're just stressed. Now, stress is the picture. It used to be, I remember, only headaches were the thing. And now it's the headache and the stress. So it's you know, we will use these drugs for just about any excuse. I'm not feeling that great.
Many of the symptoms that you're using these things for are really a relation to a stuffed emotion or thought.
Yeah.
Have you stuffed it? You know, are you feeling stuffed and holding on to things? And that's why a lot of people that I've worked with, I believe that they're not releasing things. So they may not release weight because they're holding on to things, holding on to emotions. What are you holding on to that's holding you back?
Yeah.
You know, sometimes take a moment to really think about those things.
Yeah, and also use all of these things. I mean,
That's
you
right.
need a lot of ammunition in your little kits, so use the exercise and all these other things we've been talking about, and then that way you can enjoy your life a little bit better.
And we hope that you'll live a primal lifestyle, a less stressful lifestyle. I guess we're going to see you in the next show.
Bye-bye.
Take care.
Since 1984, Basil Chapman has been using the Chapman Wave methodology to advise traders of his expert market opinion. While originally hand-drawing charts from the late 1970s into the 1980s, Basil noticed that prices under most circumstances virtually always had a certain number of legs to the upside before declining sharply. Later, Basil found that computer software, which included the standard market technical indicators, enhanced the degree of accuracy in calling price turns, as well as market trend calls. Thus was born the Chapman Wave sequence. Using the Chapman Wave methodology along with other indicators, Basil Chapman advises his subscribers of his expert market opinion each market day with his opening call newsletter. Right now, you can get a 2-week free trial to the opening call, Basil's daily trading newsletter, by visiting the front page of TFNN.com. Cancel at any time during that trial and pay absolutely nothing. Get your 2-week free trial to Basil's newsletter, The Opening Call, today by visiting TFNN.com.
You're watching Tiger TV.